I was reading some Derrida recently, today actually, and pretty much Derrida is kind of a hard, has some some things that are hard to get around. What concepts are there are slippery and unwieldy, and it's kind of difficult to get your head around that stuff. But pretty much I'm thinking about deconstruction, and what deconstruction says, what Derrida says, that we need to first of all, we have this way of how everything is centered. Like, we have concepts like God and being, and then how our ontologies and theologies and all stuff like that is centered on that. We have everything is centered and fixated on something. We have a certain sort of stability and fixity in everything that we think about. When we read a poem, we have there's a meaning there's a meaning in that. Because of their various nouns and verbs that are in there, there's a meaning that there's a centeredness of meaning of most poems. There's for novels and prose pieces, there's centered meanings. We have meanings for what Dostoevsky writes. We have meanings for that stuff. Meanings that is generally understood as this is what it means. There's ways how everything in our life is centered on one thing. Furthermore, we have the centered, fixated thing as well as the marginalized other. And we have those things here, and we have these supposed called binary opposites between the centered and fixated on thing and the marginalized other, which, for instance, we have men, which is the centered issue, and then we have women as the marginalized other. And we have these not only the center that we're fixated on, but the marginalized other, which is on the other side. So we have the idea from deconstruction that we need to subvert this fixity. We need to subvert that and try and think about this in terms of trying to put the center on the marginalized other. Think about that way. Otherwise, we have to subvert it and make the marginalized other the center. But then the whole question is, with deconstruction of Derrida, doesn't this create the same problem of fixity? Isn't there a similar problem here? And the truth is that yes, there is the same issue here. And the way I think about deconstruction of literature, or deconstruction of sentences, is when we look at actually I'm gonna put that in the thumbnail, the very thumbnail that was on this video. If you go back and look at that, whenever you want to, what I'm thinking about is a triangle that has many triangles inside of it. For one thing, if you look at it from the outset, you see many little triangles inside of it, where all the triangles fit together into this one big triangle. And among these little triangles, you can see medium-sized triangles, and you can have this little free play. There's no centering of which triangle is the center. It's a so to speak a free play of triangles, I guess. Free play of, what you find. There's no fixity. There's no centering. There's no binary opposites. That it's just there. It's a free play. And this brought me to the concept of anguish, or the existentialist concept of anguish and ambiguity and absurdity. And I have a couple videos that somewhat relate to the saturated phenomenon of Jean-Luc Marion. And what I was discussing there is that I really think that anguish comes from the saturated phenomenon object of ambiguity, or lacking absolutes there. And I feel like that people in our society look for absolutes in this world. We look for indubitable meanings. We look for things that are the center of our life. We look for meanings that are unshakable. That's what we look for. We look for that not only in the meaning of our life, but the meaning of everything that happens. I think that some Christians end up being Christians because they are looking for a meaning, and this is the only place that they find it, even though they are not all that sure about it. Now, I am a Christian, and I am sure about that. I'm not blindly believing. I have various reasons why I believe, but I feel like that people look for this indubitable, unshakable, centered fixity of meaning in their lives and the world. And now, in my video was where I talk about how we need to accept this ambiguity, which is discussed by de Beauvoir and Camus. I feel like that the idea of deconstruction needs to be applied to our life. That we need to deconstruct these fixity and centering of meanings in our life, and not only because it's better this way, but it's because that's the way it is. We need to. I have a video where I talk about how we need to accept ambiguity of our life, and I feel like Derrida talks about deconstruction, and relates that to literature and poetry, but also to other things like language. Language is the big reason why he's talking about this, and he uses various non-concept concepts. But I think I want to relate this deconstruction thing to existential anguish, and we have anguish for the real truth that we lack absolutes of absolute meaning and in the world and our lives. So I feel like that deconstruction needs to be an example as to how our life should be, as to how we should live our life, understanding that everything that's going to happen here is very ambiguous. We need to live life ethically and freely, as de Beauvoir says. So I thought I would relate these concepts here, because I think that's a very good understanding of how we should view the world, religion or not.